Wall Street Journal is now profiling a man who is super commuting from Ohio to New York City every week. He doesn't live in New York, but he basically said to himself, hey, what am I really going to do? Let's watch this because this seems like a good life.
New York. To get to the office on time, I set my alarm in Columbus for 4:15 a.m. and then hustle to the airport for a 6 a.m. flight. If everything goes to plan, I should make it to the office by 9 a.m. I moved out of the city during the pandemic to be closer to family, and when it came time to return to the office in 2022, I didn't quite want to return. There were no good apartments within my budget, and I liked Ohio because it meant walks with my sister and short drives to see my parents. So after doing some math, I thought I could keep my living expenses, super commuting plus an apartment in Ohio, at around $3,200 a month, or about the price of a nice New York studio. I've used points and miles to book flights and hotels, but ultimately ended up going over budget by 15% and relying on the kindness of friends who let me house sit in the city. I've been doing this trip once a week for over a year.
Can you imagine, by the way, places. Can you imagine getting that call that guy wants to house sit again? Like, first of all, he's a serial killer. He's living in Ohio so he can go on walks with his sister. What does that mean? He's a killer. The guy's a killer. He seems like a murderer. I live in Ohio. It's nicer. It means walks with my sister. Play the rest of it.
But I'm not sure how much longer I can keep this up. But for now,
I just made it into our office. It's 9:51.
It's time to start the workday.
Yeah, I don't, I okay. It's like, yeah, great. People commute all the time. The majority of people's life is commuting. That's the majority of what people do. That's really what it is. That's why people listen to this show and other shows, because people are always commuting. They're always going from one place they don't want to be, home, to another place they don't want to be, work. And yeah, good for him. I mean, listen, if he enjoys, and I'm sure he doesn't, but if he finds this is a financially feasible thing, then do it. Do it. Who cares? I'm sick of judging people's lives, you know? The other way to do it is being a forever renter. Somebody is saying the average age of a renter now is 33 years old. It was 29 a decade ago. Owning stuff ain't for everyone. I mean, I think you should, it should be the goal, but it's not for everybody. So, you know, there's a lot of people that don't want to buy houses. It's very difficult. And they don't have the money, and they might not want the responsibility to buy houses. So what they do is they rent houses, you know? And here's the deal. The real estate expert said that a portion of forever renters are of the higher end demographic and have an eye for apartments with large scale rooms, sophisticated aesthetics, and kid-friendly amenities. So basically they're like, listen, we don't want to buy. That's not where we want our money. We don't care. We'd rather rent. You know, if you rent, you just always are, you know, you don't have that security. Somebody can always raise the price on you. You know? Somebody could always come in there and go, hey, I mean, this happens to friends of mine who live in Brooklyn. They live in these little dumps, you know? These things you'd never want to live in your life. You would never want to live in these places. You would never want to live in these places. But every year they have to pay like $800 more a year for these apartments because the real estate market in New York is psychotic. You would never want to live in these places. But every year they just go, it, I got to do it. They have no other option. That's the thing. If you don't have any other option, you know, then you just have to kind of, and I think a lot of people are over real estate anyway as a, you know, people understood, like when the boomers got it and then they went on that amazing ride with it, nothing appreciated more than real estate. And very few things do, right? I mean, if you have a great run in the stock market, you can, but real estate's still a very good investment. But I think younger people don't look at it as glamorously because a lot of them saw their parents get divorced and fight over a house, or they just remember a house as a place where somebody had a Halloween party and everybody killed a kid in Arizona. You know, like it's not always all amazing, the memories that people have in these homes, and I'm sure they never were. Most apartment buildings, especially over the last 10 years, have been targeting a 27-year-old, and they have orange doodads as the design theme. I don't know what that means. We have a mid-Atlantic focused portfolio. Our average renter 10 years ago was 29. Today it's 33. Soon it'll be 70. Soon people will live longer and they will just rent and they will not buy a home. And, you know, because everything is so out of control in terms of money, I've talked about it on the show, outside of forcibly evicting boomers from their houses and putting them in mental institutions and then putting those houses on the market, I don't know what else you can do. Truly, I don't know what else you can do. They won't stop or retire. It doesn't seem to be happening. They certainly don't want to sell. So you're just going to have to deal with the apartment, you know, until you regroup, till Bitcoin's up. Bitcoin's going back up. It's going back up. Get on the ride. Get the house if you want.